Let me ask you a question. If you were to stop working today, how long would your business run itself? And would it grow? Hi, I'm Jim Roman. Welcome to another episode of the Jim Roman Show, where we talk about how to build a better business so you can build a better life. I'm your host, Jim Roman, and welcome. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 5 functions of a business. In fact, it's a new series that we're doing this month to help you to build a better business. A lot of times I ask my clients the question I just asked you. If you were to stop working today, how long would your business run itself? It wouldn't. 2 minutes? Maybe if you're lucky, 2 days. In most cases, it wouldn't run without the owner. And then would it grow? In most cases, it would not grow. So today, and through this series, we're going to talk about how when that question is asked of you, that your business can run without you indefinitely. And yes, it can grow. So let's jump into today's episode, the 5 functions of a better business. So how did this topic come about? Many years ago, I was in one of those Sunday mornings. I woke up, I was drinking my coffee, and I was thinking about selling my business, getting out of my business. I was just pretty much honestly fed up with my business. And so I pulled out the Sunday paper, and I'm looking through the Sunday paper, looking at what jobs could I get. I could get a job in marketing, I can get a job in selling, I could probably be an executive director of an association. And I started adding up all the jobs that I could qualify for, and ultimately came to 10 jobs. Then I realized owning my own business, I have 10 jobs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want 10 jobs. It became overwhelming, if you will. And I was like, well, I need to do something about that. And so over time, I started thinking about the many hats that we wear as business owners. And it came down to 5 hats or 5 functions that really it takes to run a business. And I think if you can figure out these functions, get these things handled, then you will have more of a life, you'll have a better business. So let's go into those 5 functions that now I find that all businesses pretty much have in that. So one of the things you want to look at is your organizational structure. When you're building your business, we talked about in previous episodes, having an organizational chart and or structure makes the biggest difference in growing your business, growing your people, growing your life. For example, there are 5 functions. There's bringing a business, hiring and training, getting the work done, admin, finance, and beyond the transaction, creating raving fans that makes the world go round. Now, if you would look into the next level, how most business, and if I were to ask you how many of these roles do you run, a lot of you would say all of them, Jim. I do all of them. And you're probably like I was years ago, wanting to give up, throw in the towel, quit, sell your business. But it doesn't have to be that way. So a typical business will start off by one, they'll start to bring in business, and by bringing in business, they need to then get the work done. So they're bringing the business, getting the work done, bringing the business in, getting the work done. Then eventually what I encourage them to do is hire and train. So now they're hiring and training to have somebody else get the work done or yet bring the business in. So they're bringing the business, getting the work done, have somebody else. Now they got to do admin finance. So in admin finance, they need to send out their invoices so they can get paid and pay their people. And then if they are entrepreneurial enough, smart enough to go beyond the transaction to create raving fans will give you more referrals, give you more reviews, give you more revenue, which then brings it back into bringing a business and completes that complete cycle. So my first question again is, how many of these positions are you currently doing yourself? And if you say all of them, then obviously your business is running you, you're not running it. And so in this series, we're going to be talking about some of these pillars to help you put processes and people in place to, again, build a better business, to build a better life. So my question to you is, do you want to be doing it all yourself? Some people want to have a lifestyle business and they're okay with running the business by themselves. Others would like some assistance or need some assistance. And then others want to build a business to employ people, to impact the community, impact the world with their products and or services. So depending on what size of company you are, in some cases what industry you're in, and more importantly, what stage of business you're in, I'd be looking at some of the solutions. For example, from a big picture perspective, say that I am a business that is in stage 2 to 4. Stage 2, as you know, in our 9 stages of business is one that is startup. You can get a copy of our 9 stages of business ownership on our website at Jim Roman Online under programs, and there's a Start Here program. We also wrote a blog on the 9 stages of business. So you can go to our website at Jim Roman Online, click on the blog, and you can read about the 9 stages. I'll also post those below in the comment box for you to also access. But in the 9 stages, I share with people that in the early stages of a business, the business owns you. In the later stages, hopefully you own it. So let's say you're in the beginning stages. You're a small company, maybe 1 person, maybe 2 people. You're between stages 2 and 4, 2 being startup, 3 being survival, 4 being false stability. You might be focusing on just bringing in business. You need to bring in business, and that you're not bringing enough business. And with things going on the way they are in the world right now, if you're a small company, I'd be focusing on that. Versus with some people doing business, they start their business and they're more worried about getting the work done with not bringing enough business in. I've seen too many companies go out of business because they're too busy getting the work done and they're not spending their time when they're small bringing business in. And so you have to juggle, bring in more business by getting the work done. In fact, when you get to stage 3 and 4 and you start to grow, you're struggling between bringing in business and getting the work done. I have a trick question for you. What's more important, bringing business in or getting the work done? Again, what's more important, bringing in business or getting the work done? The answer is both. So often we want to say one over the other, and the trick of the trade is really trying to get them all done, both done, preferably not by you, but by using other people. So again, if you're in the early stages, one of your biggest challenges in getting to the next level, building a better business, is how to bring in business on a regular, consistent basis. In fact, next episode, I'm going to be focusing hard on that, bringing in business. I'm going to be talking about creating raving fans, and I'll be talking about marketing, networking, and referrals. And in some sense, I'll be talking about sales, especially in this market right now, in this environment. If you're finding it hard to bring in business because of what's going on, you're going to want to tune in next episode, because I'm going to go into that probably deeper than I normally have ever done before that. I'll be using realtor examples, property management examples, etc. If you want me to use your industry as an example, comment below, whether you're watching this live or recorded. Comment below that you want your industry covered in my episode, or any episode for that matter, because I love speaking in industry specific terms. For example, talking about bringing the business, getting the work done. One of the biggest challenges with the mortgage industry is that they're out there networking with realtors and referral sources, and then they start bringing in the loans, and then they need to get the work done. They need to get the loan processed. And sometimes their processor isn't effectively, or they end up being their own processor, and that can cause you from wanting to bring any more business in, and you slow your business down. You slow the stage of growth down. And so knowing the 5 functions and solving for the 5 functions makes a big difference. So again, in this small business example, if you're a small business, I would be figuring out how to bring in more business. And as I bring in more business and I start to get bigger, then the next thing is to figure out how to get the work done. You've heard me share the story back in the day when I used to run a BNI franchise, 2 BNI franchises, which are referral groups around the world. I got to a point where I was getting 3 referrals a day, literally 3 referrals a day, qualified people who wanted to become members of my organization. I went to my mentor and I said, I have a problem. I'm having more referrals than I can handle. I don't know what to do. And I know stopping the bringing in business is not an option. Stopping my marketing is not an option. So my mentor suggested that I'm going to an upcoming conference to meet up with somebody and find out how they would solve for it. So I sat down with a wonderful, wise gentleman from Maryland, Jerry Schwartz. I'll never forget this. I met up with Jerry between sessions, and I said, Jerry, I have this problem. I'm getting too many referrals. And Jerry laughed and he goes, I don't see that being a problem. I said, well, I can't handle them all. And Jerry, in his infinite wisdom, said, Jim, find somebody in BNI that's not making enough money, hire them to manage your leads, manage those potential prospects, get them into the BNI group, and then you should be good to go. And I got to tell you, that's the best advice he could have ever given me, because that turned my business around to not only doing 6 figures revenue-wise, I was doing 6 figures income-wise. But if I would have took my own advice, I would have put a stop to my marketing and a stop to my bringing in business, because I didn't take the time to figure out how to get the work done. Now let's fast forward to a $500,000 company or a medium-sized company that has 6 to 7 employees. Their biggest challenge tends to be getting the work done, right? Trying to get the work done while the business is coming in. How do you get the work done? Ultimately, a lot of times the owners are control freaks, which is nothing wrong with that, because you want it done right for your customers, but they haven't put the structure in place, like the 5 functions, to be able to manage it all. And so they're too busy getting the work done, that they're not taking the time to get better people or to make their people better, develop their people more so. So you might be somebody who's starting to grow, you have plenty of business coming in, but now you're having the challenge of getting the work done. Well, that's where it comes back to hiring and training somebody to get the work done for you. And that could probably be a whole topic on that. Should you hire a part-time person? Should you hire a full-time person? Should you hire a virtual assistant? Should you hire a virtual employee? The list goes on and on and on. But I will say this about getting the work done through a hiring and training process, that most people have not found the right people for their organization to get the work done. And I can't tell you the countless times that people have said to me, Jim, I can't find good people. And I would say that sometimes that's true, but I think the bigger issue is that you're not vetting out the wrong people. So often you hire people that are the wrong people, they don't work out, and you just say it's people. And it really isn't people, it's more about the process in that example. So if it were me and I were looking to get the work done, and Jim, hey, I want to delegate, hey, Jim, I want to hire this out, what do I recommend? Again, comment below, tell us what your challenges are, reach out to us, be more than glad to talk you through that. But ultimately, what I typically teach people to is find out the things you don't like doing that you can get off your plate, get the things that make you money on your plate, or find those things that if you were to double your business or your business would be bottlenecked, what would get in the way of growing your business. So you can see in that example, as your small business bringing in businesses should be your primary function to build a better business so you can build that better life down the road. Then you get to the point where you're doing the work, but then how can you get some of that work off your plate? Through a virtual assistant, a virtual employee, part-time employee, full-time employee, softwares and solutions. There are ways of getting the work done with you not always being the one who has to do it. Look at me, I built several companies where I was the company and I built a company and everything in between. And so I speak from experience, from owning my own publishing business, and I did it all, to taking that publishing business and have other people do it for me, to selling that publishing business, to my BNI business and other businesses that I now have a team of people that I work with, part-time, full-time, independent contractors, employees, and everything in between based on what I want to get off my plate. Freeing me up to do more things within my business or outside my business is key. And then let's talk about creating raving fans. We'll finish up the series with creating raving fans, but just to give you an overview of that aspect of it. Creating raving fans is the concept I came up with, what you do beyond the transaction. So often people will bring in business, get the work done, admin, finance, bring in business, get the work done, hire and train, develop, and they stay in those four functions, those first four functions I talked about. But the fifth function is the creating raving fans plan that I believe that makes the biggest difference. If you can create raving fans, they will refer. They will give you reviews, and that will give you more revenue. That most people don't figure that out. But do you know who figured that out? Apple, Nordstrom's, Zappos. These companies figured out creating raving fans give you reviews, referrals, and more revenue. What are you doing beyond the transaction to create raving fans? You'll see behind me the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber. It's one of my favorite books that's made the biggest impact in my life. And Michael talks about creating a franchise-like experience in your business. And he goes into detail about creating an organizational structure, what we call the 5 functions. And he talks about creating a franchise-like experience so that your first customer has the exact same experience as your 1,000th customers through processes and your people. Creating raving fans that refer, give you reviews, and give you more revenue. Why do I bring this up to you today and a part of this series? So years ago, I was thinking about throwing in the towel, selling my business, quitting altogether. And it wasn't until that moment that I thought about the many hats I had to wear at that time, 10. How can I make it 5? Because 5 is more manageable. I then took those 5 functions and I created a worksheet out of that. If you want that worksheet, just comment below and I'll get you that worksheet. It's a simple Excel spreadsheet that has one column is bringing a business. The second column is hiring and training and developing. The third one is getting the work done, admin, finance, and then finishing up with creating raving fans. And with that worksheet, what I'm able to do is to take what's running around in my head and getting it down on paper in its proper category. There's one of my favorite quotes. I believe it was from Einstein. Einstein was quoted saying, "The brain is for thinking, not for storing." I'll say that again. Your brain is for thinking, not for storing all your thoughts. And I thought that was fascinating. So I took this worksheet that I created and I started putting down all the things I needed to get done and bring in a business, as well as all the things I needed to do that I want to get done to bring in a business, but I don't have time. Then I said, well, if I ever hire and train, what am I going to need? Well, I'm going to need a vision and mission. I'm going to need a hiring checklist. I'm going to need job description and a bunch of other things. That was very limited because I was very limited in knowledge back then about hiring and training. And then I had a huge list of getting the work done. I mean, we probably all have that. And then admin, finance related activities, which are different than getting the work done. Getting the work done is more about operations, delivering on the product or service. Admin, finances, bookkeeping, accounting, invoicing, stuff like that. And then creating raving fans was interesting. I didn't have anything in creating raving fans because I never thought of it this way until I changed the question. If I could create raving fans, if I wanted to woo my customers, what would I want to do? Obviously, I would want to send out thank you cards. Now I want to send out thank you gifts. I want to check in on them from time to time beyond our coaching sessions or our courses with them. And I started to think, what would I want to give them? Gift cards, put on annual summits, maybe even have a retreat. And the interesting thing happened, I don't know if it was days later or weeks later, all of a sudden I went, boom, I have a new idea. Oh my God, I have a new idea. Now that might sound strange, but I stopped for a moment and go, okay, I don't know when the last time I had a new creative idea. How was I able to do that? And I was going back to the mind. The mind can only hold so much. And because I took what was on my mind, that was managing in my mind, and put it down in this spreadsheet, the 5-function spreadsheet, I gave room for thinking. I legitimately gave room for thinking. Because it's the only thing I could attribute it to, that 1 minute I not have no new ideas, the next minute after doing that exercise, days or at least weeks later, I had a new idea. And so I really believe in Einstein's quote is the brain is for thinking and for storing. So my charge to you today is to, number one, ask yourself, if you were to stop working today, how long would your business run itself? And would it grow? And do you want to do something about it? Number two, what do you want to get off your plate? What do you want to start to delegate to virtual employees, virtual assistant, part-time employee, independent contractors? If you could, and you had the time and the money and the willingness to give up stuff, delegate stuff, what would that be? Would it be something you hate doing? Something you're not getting to doing? Or is it something that if you did do, it would make a big impact in your business and in your life? And then I would do the 5 functions worksheet where I would create 5 columns of those 5 areas. And I would write down in my mind what I'm thinking about: bringing a business, hiring and training, getting the work done, admin, finance, creating raving fans, things I have to do, want to do, and love to do in the future. And see what happens. Don't take my word for it. I always like, try before you buy. Try what I'm saying to you before you buy into it completely. Some of these things, when they were brought to my attention originally, I said, that doesn't work. That's not true, until I applied the knowledge, that I started seeing the results from that knowledge. So in closing, this is the beginning of an entire series. We're going to be talking about the 5 functions. Today is an overview of knowing the 5 functions. And I would highly recommend that you get the 9 stages inside the Start Here packages. Also is an org chart template that you could use with the 5 functions on it. And I would encourage you to start to think about what you want your organization to look like now, but more importantly, in the future. Do you want to have a lifestyle business, a solarpreneur business, an entrepreneur business, or a professionally ran business? Because I think that makes a big, big difference. And each week, we're going to go through each one of those pillars, giving you principles that you can apply to your business. And if you want us to specifically pick an industry, then please reach out to us and let us know, hey, Jim, I'm a landscaping company. How do I make money during the winter time? We've done that for people. Hey, Jim, I am a builder. How do I sell more custom homes in the Eastern Shore? We can do that with you as well, and use those examples in the areas of bringing the business, getting the work done, and creating raving fans. So as I finish up, I really, really want to thank you for being here today, but I want to again encourage you to start to think about, what do you really want from your business? What do you really want from your life? How can we support you in achieving that? Because ultimately, we're here to serve you to build a better business, to build a better life. I highly recommend, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, to please subscribe, like, and share. We truly want to meet people and reach them where they are today. I'm super excited about next week. Next, we're going to be talking about bringing in business. And let me give you a foreshadowing of what that's going to look like. So in the bringing a business perspective, we're going to be talking about, number one, creating raving fans. For bringing a business perspective, there's creating raving fans beyond the transaction, but this one is for bringing a business. I have found that most of your business comes from people you already know, right? Whether they're current clients or past clients or people's in your connections. So we're going to be talking about how to create raving fans and ways of bringing a business. It's huge. I have not talked about this live ever. And so you'll be the first to see that. So if you're here, you're going to hear that. Then we're going to talk about what you can do from a marketing networking perspective. What can you do marketing wise and networking, especially during these difficult times? Because people are not meeting in person, right? If they're not meeting in person, that messes up your networking, right? It messes up the whole thing. And then we're going to be talking about referrals, because referrals are some of the best ways of bringing in business than marketing and network can ever give you. Now, marketing and networking support the referral process. And then there's going to be the selling side of it. How do you close more deals? How do you come up with a 7 C's process or a process for getting people to buy from you? So that's what we're going to be talking about next week, bringing a business. And we're going to be talking about that from a $250,000 and below business, a $500,000 business, $1 million business. We're going to be talking about that from an industry specific. So I highly encourage you to tune in, and I recommend that you email me if you want us to use you as an example. We love using live examples so you can get live results. Again, I want to thank you for joining us for another episode of the Jim Roman Show. I'm Jim Roman. Remember, the more you know, the more we grow.